Hello and welcome back to A Splash of Paint, where it's time for me to finish off last week's London scene. Now if you saw last week's episode, I painted this monochrome, natural grey, misty atmospheric day of London. And I thought it'd be nice to put a red bus on there, just to give a bit of a sort of duotone effect. Size 6 brush will be the one that I use for most of this, and I'm going to mix up some cadmium red, a little bit of water, with just a little bit of alizarin crimson, which makes quite a nice deep red. Sometimes a little bit of blue in the colour will neutralise the bright red effect. And we'll start off very simply just by filling the whole bus in. And I'm just going to go in and almost do an outline of it. I'm going to turn the board over just to make it easier to get these clean edges. Now, there's certain parts on the bus that need to be left as grey. There's like a grill on the front of it. We can paint over the windows because, as you're probably aware, most of the buses are actually red on the inside as well. I'm sure you've all travelled on one of these buses at some point. So it's quite a common thing to see people paint pictures with a couple of colours and no more. That's what you call a duotone, if I can say it, duotone. It's a bit of a mouthful, that one, but it makes a nice painting effect. I'll turn it that way and then do this sharp edge. And again, I'll just keep rotating until I've filled the area in. Now again, I've got windows which I can just simply paint over. There's a bit of a sign on the front. So I'll get all that blocked in. Just make sure all the areas are filled nicely. So that colour's not too thick. It's always tempting when using straight colours to paint it too definite. So just watch out for that. Now if I turn it back over, you can see that the colour does shine quite nicely. I've just pinched the brush through my fingers there just so I can lightly make sure that any hard, wet areas of paint do actually blend in. Now I'll come to a large brush, a size 20 for the minute, clean it, give it a bit of a squeeze. I'm just going to dampen the area just below the bus because I would expect to see a little tiny reflection there, so the same red, not too much paint on. I'm just going to come down and then I'm just going to work down so it almost gives that impression of it being wet. And it's always good to dry your brush off and just put a couple of horizontal lines through that. It just kind of breaks the surface. The next job is to put some shadows into the bus, make it look a little bit more realistic. And of course natural grey is perfect for this. I've got a size 4 brush for this one, so a little bit more detail. And the size 4 brush is great for this because it lets me go in with a fairly strong grey and actually add some tonal work. Now I'm going to start off by darkening that corner and also the front of the bus as well. That comes straight down and it just kind of goes over the top. Clean brush, tissue again, blend it away. And turn it that way just to make the blending a little bit easier. So making sure that that line actually blends away almost fully into the red. I can add a few little bits of lines going back down the side as well, and maybe just over the back corner and the bottom corner as well. Bit of water, make it fade away. And then just add in a few foreshortened windows down the side there. Now if we turn it back that way, you can see it starting to do its thing there. A bit more grey. This part of the bus is the piece that goes under. It's the kind of cutout area. So we'll leave the area as though it's going back. Clean brush, wipe it on tissue. Fade it away. So it looks a little bit more as though that's actually set back into the bus. And then there's a bit of detail on this front there. Bit of a radiator. And then a few little bits where it curves out at the side. But the very, very basic impression of the wheels. And just a bit of, again, what I call nonsense painting underneath. Just nothing really fancy about it. But you know that there's something under there. Same as on the top, I mean, there's all sorts of little random bits of aerials and things on these buses. But one of the main things is to get the window, or the windows. And you can almost outline these in a much stronger grey than what you've been using so far. Little tiny bit of water. And if you make one of the corners of those darker, clean brush, wipe over tissue, and then actually drag it out in a diagonal, because the diagonal will make it look as though it's catching a bit of light from somewhere. There we go. And then of course you can add incidental bits of detail, bit of a detail on the sign there. Of course, if you had more time, you could write in the actual street name and things if you wanted to go that far, that is, but some people would. And then just a bit of a window impression inside there as well. And then just a shadow. A little fun bus that. Just going to put a little bit of a shadow from the underneath of the bus there, so it's actually sat on the road. And use a bit of water just to tone it in. Headlights, that sort of thing. But of course, detail-wise, you can add as much detail as you see fit in the picture. But I think that's probably enough to say we've created a very simple, but hopefully effective, and certainly gives you an idea of how you can use just two colours to create a really nice, atmospheric, misty picture. Right, we've just got time to delve into the Splash of Paint postbag to answer a few more of your artistic questions. Bill Baxter says, does watercolour paint in tubes ever go out of date? As long as the tubes are properly closed tightly, they should last a very long time. However, paint will dry out if not fully sealed away from the air. You can rehydrate dried out watercolour paint by cutting the tube and then using a solid paint like you would if you was using a pan or a block, simply by rubbing a wet brush onto the dried paint so it dissolves in the water. However, bear in mind that this is harder to make big batches of uniform colour from solid watercolour paint. And finally, June Watson has emailed to ask, I want to exhibit my work, where do I start? If you're new to showing your work in public space, then often the best place to start is your local art group. Art groups often put on exhibitions for their members, and if you're not already part of a local art group society, it's a great way not only to display your artwork, but also to meet some new people who share your passion. The SAA website has got loads of information about art groups, as well as a dictionary, directory, a dictionary. I was thinking, why is there a dictionary on the SAA website? To spell some of the colours, probably. If you're new to showing your work in public space, then often the best place to start is your local art group. And art groups often put on exhibitions for their members, and if you're not already part of a local art group or society, it's a great way not only to display work, but also to meet some new people who share your passion for painting. The SAA website has got loads of information about art groups, as well as a directory you can search through to find the groups near you. You can also post your paintings online in the SAA website and share the links with your friends and family to see. There are also lots of competitions you could enter which involve a final exhibition of the entries. So go on to saa.co.uk and get entering. Well, folks, I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but join us next time when popular SAA artist Warren Seeley unlocks the secret of oil mediums. We search for another inspirational masterclass in the SAA library, and I'll be taking time out to demonstrate a few more practical tips and techniques to help you discover the wonders of watercolour painting. And leading wildlife artist Pip McGarry will be showing us why he's wild about oils in our Animal Magic Art Bite project. So tune in next time for another vibrant edition of A Splash of Paint.
If you'd like to receive a regular splash of paint, sign up to the SAA's free e-newsletter. Visit www.saa.co.uk. We'll make sure you get all the latest news, exclusive offers and events delivered direct to your desktop.